Welcome to VentureBeat in Conversation. Joining me today is Mike Hanley, Chief Security Officer and Senior Vice President of Engineering at GitHub. Also joining us is Vijoy Pandey. He's the Senior Vice President of Outshift. Gentlemen, welcome today. Look forward to talking with you today about generative AI's impact on accelerating every facet of business operations, with agents being at the forefront of that and driving significant new opportunities for faster velocity and everything from development into product strategies and overall code development and code, most importantly, code quality, reliability, and resiliency. So to start that off, let's talk about the current landscape of agentic AI as it relates to software development and DevOps.
Yeah, so let me thank you for that, Louis. And so one of the areas that generative AI is actually impacting quite a bit is the area of software development. The entire process, the entire life cycle of software development is actually something that generative AI is impacting in a good way, end to end. These are things like integration, testing, and deployment. These are routine things that everybody does. It's monotonous, it's mundane. No developers that I've talked to, and I've been a developer in the past, nobody wants to do these things. These are necessary evils for your product to work and be consumable by your customers. And then there's the fun part, which is the problem solving part, the abstract problems that you need to come in and solve. So that's where things are. And right now we're in the world of assistants that actually provide suggestions, provide code snippets, provide security suggestions, remediation code, and so on and so forth, that a developer might pick up and decide to use, modify, or reject, and give that feedback back to the assistant. Mike, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think it's an exciting time, and certainly it's only going to accelerate in the pace of change. So, agentic AI and some of the co-pilot sort of assistant models that we have today, it's exciting because if you think about it, for any given skill or need or capability or task, the idea that you can give somebody a generalist or somebody who has no expertise in a particular area, perhaps, and then give them an assistant that has that, it's really a great way to scale up. I mean, if you consider an area like security where there's not an abundance of security expertise. I mean, really every year we see a new report that says how many unfilled cybersecurity jobs there is and what a shortage of talent we have. It's not a good thing if you're a development team and you're just desperately looking for somebody who can help you write secure code. So the idea that your co-pilot can actually be that sort of staff or principal level security engineer who's right there with you throughout the whole SDL, right? And we're seeing that expansion of co-pilots to different parts of the SDL. I just think that's a big game changer, and that we've already seen sort of meteoric adoption, certainly inside GitHub with Copilot. I mean, we believe it's fundamentally transforming how developers are building software.
Let's talk about the risks that enterprises are facing about integrating assistants into applications and workflows, and how can they reduce that?
The biggest risk is actually not doing anything at all, or buying into fear and not adopting AI. I think when you look at what's happening with AI and agentic AI right now, we have undergone what I would now describe as a permanent structural change in how we do software development. For some languages, it's actually helping developers write up to 60% of the code that they write in a given language. I would assert that, we've been adopting new technologies and new paradigms, if you will, for decades. And you're actually, in some ways, treating AI just like you would any other tool is a great way to start. Think about, if you're going to go buy a SaaS service today to do a particular job for you, set AI aside for a second, you're going to ask for things like data diagrams. How is the development environment secured for that? Who has access to it? Where's my data stored? The same sort of standard battery of questions that you probably want to also answer for an AI tool. How are you training on my data or not? What capabilities do I have? I encourage people to actually start there. We don't necessarily need to invent kind of new frameworks for that. I'd also say, intellectual property is obviously sort of a hot topic in this space. Who actually owns the intellectual property associated with generated code? I think there's also looking at the audits and certifications that come from the companies that are building these tools. I think you want to look for a robust set of practices around safe and secure development of not just the models, but also the experiences that are built on top of them and the infrastructure that's used to back those.
Thank you. Vijoy, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I would 100% agree with everything that Mike said. Think of it as a tool. Think of it as a tireless code developing colleague that is always there producing good quality code but have a buddy system that actually comes in and verifies that code, makes sure that it's scalable, it's secure, it's bias-free, it's hallucination-free. You need to build out those pipelines so that you can customize the output code based on what exists in your environment, your policies, your knowledge bases, your existing code, your security requirements, etc., and so on. So I think starting on that pipeline and then making sure that you treat these assistants as yet another colleague developing code, and making sure that you have a buddy system in place that is doing the checks and balances of your aligned to your software development lifecycle, aligned to your security and trust organization practices is where you should be.
Let's talk about the future, and let's talk about where this is all headed with regard to agentic AI, being able to further improve software development, and what are the compounding effects of that going to be into the future?
Think about defining what you need from the software. What are the market requirements? What are the product requirements? What are the business KPIs that you want to achieve from this piece of software that you're developing? So if you think about the entire process of what matters to our customers, what software needs to be built for our customers, how do you build that software, then scale it, secure it, make it responsible, and then deploy it, that entire life cycle, we believe that agents will be thin, soft subject matter experts that will actually come together, collaborate. They'll always learn and they'll solve for these larger, ambiguous problems, which could be as simple as build an application for me that looks at, let's say, the queue in a Starbucks environment and figure out whether I need to add a new cashier to that environment. And Andrew Ng has a pretty impressive talk where he brings together agents that can develop software, agents that can scale software, check for scalability issues, check for correctness, check for security, and produce pretty high quality code.
Excellent point. And Mike, in your unique position of securing GitHub and owning the end-to-end process with literally millions of developers relying on your platform to be able to do security by design and not have it as an afterthought, how do you see the future progressing, and how will you be able to continually improve GitHub to do security by design in an agentic future?
If you compare to where we've been as an industry for, let's just say, the last 10 plus years, a lot of security value has been added relatively late in the software development lifecycle. It's usually part of test feedback. So after a developer has already written something, checked in their code, gone to get coffee, maybe even gone out of town for the weekend, then they get security feedback later, and it's like, wait, what was I doing, and what am I supposed to do about it? And the transformation that's underway now with agentic AI is actually like pretty radical if you think about it, because basically what we're saying is not only are you going to have somebody right there with you as you're bringing your idea to code, right, which many developers have today in the form of GitHub Copilot. They're literally getting secure suggestions from a model that has security expertise that they may lack right from the onset. So this is the cheapest place to have security experience embedded into what a developer is doing. But you're also getting way more effective outcomes from the more traditional place where security is injected at test time. So for example, we have something called Copilot Autofix that's currently in public beta, where instead of just telling you, hey, there's a problem, you should fix it, you get a natural language explanation of what that problem is, and you can literally click a button and get a generated fix. So this is a great example of the agent model where you have particular skills, and the agent has that, like Vijoy, you said, sort of that narrow space that it works in to say, like, my job is to fix bugs. And it turns out it fixes bugs many, many times faster than what humans can do. So the time that it takes to resolve any given vulnerability is dramatically reduced. I mean, in some cases by many times over what it would have taken that without the assistance of AI. Really what we're saying is we're going to make security many times better at every part of the software development lifecycle. AI is going to just be the thing that completely transforms software development from the perspective that it's going to prevent vulnerabilities from appearing in code, both by helping you write more securely at the onset, preventing things from escaping, but also helping us go back and sweep up, decades of technical debt in open source, for example, or in legacy software that everything else is built upon. Like, there's no amount of humans that we can hire to go task and work on some of those problems, and there's no amount of resources that we can put against some of those things. But AI particularly with agents that are good at specific things, does actually put us in a position to succeed with security in a way that we've never seen before, not just going forward, but also looking backward and cleaning up some of the decades of technical debt we have.
Oh, I agree exactly. And, from working with DevOps teams in the past, there's always a challenge for DevOps engineers to learn security concepts as well as apply them and get code out. And again, getting back to the speed and time to market, which is absolutely essential right now to stay competitive.
I would say the agentic workflows when it comes to security or scale or bias-free development is not just applicable for developers, but it's also applicable for SecOps and for NetOps and for these other IT ops personas in environments, SREs, that actually use software practices, that actually use infrastructure as code practices to secure their environments and scale their environments. Because simple things like, can you first check whether my cloud posture is secure? And if not, give me a snippet of code that actually makes it secure, is a very SecOps-oriented task that will actually get agentified as well, and it'll actually drive productivity in those domains as well.
Yeah, excellent point. So let's switch gears now and let's talk about what's your advice to organizations getting security right and getting started with agentic AI development, and how do they get started, and what are some of the resources that you point them in the direction to from an agentic AI learning perspective?
One of the things that we are realizing is that entire agentic framework world is relatively new. So we are learning as an industry and trying to figure out what works, what doesn't. There's a lot that you need to prepare for starting on this journey. So you need to prepare around, like we were discussing earlier, what are your practices when it comes to security, when it comes to responsible AI, when it comes to your entire trust organization and how they approach this problem? Where are you with your code repositories, and can they be used to train these assistants and agents in the future to develop code in the style that you want, to develop code that solves for all use cases that you are going after? And can you start by building out learning, by building out awareness within your organization, the entire data pipelines, the practices, to actually be ready not just for the assistant use cases that exist today, but for the agentic workflows that are coming in the future. So start building that roadmap, and please keep humans in the loop today. We're not there yet. But sooner than later, you will see some of those functions, especially the mundane, the rote, time-consuming functions, get consumed by agents and AI agents, and humans will be left to solve for what we do best, which is solve for higher order problem solving, where we all have fun. So that's where we are headed towards.
I'd add to that. We've talked a little bit about kind of the places to start. It's actually going and talking to the developers, right, who are going to use these tools and asking them, like, where do you need the most help? And I actually suspect a lot of developers would say, hey, security is important to me, but I'm not a security expert. I would love the help there. And I think that's where it's a neat opportunity if you believe, as we do, that security starts with the developer. The idea that you can give them security superpowers at various stages of the software development lifecycle is a really actually like a empowering thing, right? Because you're going to have happier developers, you're going to have better security outcomes, and it's just going to work, right? So the traditional model today is we just pile more stuff onto people's plates that they need to do, right? So it's like, here's your backlog of security vulnerabilities that we need to fix. But now what we're saying is really with agentic AI, it's actually, if I find it, it's fixed. Found means fixed.
Brilliant comments and insights. Mike and Vijoy, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for watching. For more stories about the tech revolution, subscribe to our newsletters and check out other VB in Conversation videos at VentureBeat.com.